A very warm welcome to This World Game Changers podcast, where your host, Paul D. Lowe, embraces many crucial conversations that compassionately contribute towards creating a better life and world. Paul's intention is very simple: to help get people's inspirational insights and motivational messages out into the world so others may benefit.
Hello listeners, and welcome back to this World Game Changers podcast episode, and the next episode in the series of Things I Didn't Know. And to answer that question, or to give insights and share insights, I'm delighted to welcome back Richard Gerver. Richard's been with us on many occasions before, former president of World Game Changers. Without further ado, Richard, very warm welcome back, sir.
Oh, it's brilliant to be here, Paul. I hope everyone who's listening in is well and safe. And yeah, it's great to be back.
So, Richard, 4 simple words on the surface of it. Things I didn't know. What's your initial reaction to those 4 words?
I think it's fascinating, because I think we spend so much of our lives thinking that if we don't know something, it's a weakness or a failure. And I would turn the entire thing round as a reflex and response and say, things I didn't know were that the things I didn't know, and I was confident about not knowing them, were my strength and my superpower.
Yeah, which kind of, allow me, if you will, Richard, to flirt with the cliche, ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's really important that, you know, one of the sayings I've used throughout my career and life from the time I was a young educator is to remind people that you learn nothing new by getting something right. You only ever learn something new from the point of a mistake or the realization you don't know something or you can't do something. And that means we need to recast the entire notion of the things I didn't know into realizing that that is the moment in your life where the magic happens, where you're going to evolve, develop, and become something better than you were before you encountered that moment of ignorance.
Kind of speaks to the Kaizen continuous improvement a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's being open to realizing that you don't know something, you can't do something, and then having the confidence to step through the pathway of that ignorance. Those 2 things are very, very powerful. And I think, you know, when I look back on my young life and I look back on how I evolved, I grew up too often believing that if I didn't know something, it was a sign of weakness rather than a moment of accelerated growth.
So as you do reflect back on your life, Richard, I mean, obviously, you know, you're on world stages now, inspiring people, sharing insights, experiences, etc. Just give me a flavour, if you will, of maybe 3 or 4 things of when you look back, profound things. Oh, I didn't know that, but now I know it. It's made such a difference to my life.
Oh, my goodness me.
No pressure, Richard.
Yeah. I think the first is, you know, certainly when I started to put my head above the parapet, when I started to give my opinions on stages or in my writings, and I used to receive criticism. I used to take it personally. And then a wise person said to me, you know, those are the people you're impacting the most because you're pushing them outside their comfort zone. So don't take offense by the people that respond badly. Actually, but realize that you've started to catalyze change and development in them. I think that was incredibly powerful, potent, and important to me. I think because of the kind of person I am, I'm quite extrovert. I'm quite, you know, confident, quite good in a room full of people. I started to think that introspective people and quiet people when I was younger were somehow not as sharp, not as bright, not as good, not as profound. And actually what I've realized as I've gone through my life is I wish I could be more like them, because they're, you know, introverted people are extraordinary. And I suppose that taught me more about the understanding of difference and not just the tolerance, but the understanding that every single human being is exceptional, no matter what their personal traits, no matter what their academic levels, no matter what, what or how they view the world or life. And I think in a time that is becoming increasingly polarized, and a world where we start to see our differences as chasms between us, that actually, if only we could come together and realize and respect those differences and find out how we could harness those differences to create something magical, the world would be a lot better place. I've been obsessed with many years with real deep collaboration, and real deep collaboration can't come from a gathering of like-minded people in an echo chamber. Real deep collaboration can only come when you have a group of people who will see the world differently and try and find a way to converge on a commonality of understanding.
Yeah. So taking that a stage further then, Richard, the proverbial, what would you say to younger yourself? The one thing, and I know there's never going to be the one thing, but I do love to flirt with this concept. I ask it of people, name your number one all-time favourite record. And it's almost impossible because it's mood dependent, isn't it?
And mood dependent. It depends on where you are in your life. It depends on what you listened to most recently. It depends. I often think, when I think about the playlist of my life, the music we've listened to, I have forgotten more of the great songs that move me than I can possibly remember. And it's only when you hear it on the radio, or you hear it played on somebody's playlist, or at a party or a restaurant or something, you go, oh my God, I used to love that song. And then you go home and listen to it again, or you listen to the work of the same artist. I think it's very dangerous. But in terms of the one piece of advice I'd give a younger me, I think it's really very simple. Listen more.
Listen more. And isn't it amazing how the simplicity, because I think you've got a little bit of a penchant and sort of a profound experience about propounding simplicity, Richard, haven't you?
Yeah.
But those two words, listen more. And I think, if I may, Richard, it's actually listen to don't respond, just listen and be present. And that's profound as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, absorb, process. I think one of the great deep understandings about listening, and particularly listening without an immediate response, is it gives you the chance to truly process and understand what you're hearing, internalize it, start to challenge your own reflexes and responses to what you're hearing, and ask yourself why. One of the things I wish more is that in a world that is so networked and so immediate and so driven by digital technology, we would challenge our own inner beliefs and voice more, and stop reflexively trying to be angry at others for not seeing the world we do. I think we need to be more introspective. I think we need to challenge our own belief systems more and challenge each other's less if we're truly to reach a place of understanding. And that's, all part of that process of listening.
Any final thoughts, Richard, on this enigmatic topic?
I think it's a fantastic topic. And I think, again, a bit like choosing your favorite piece of music, I think you could respond to it differently on any given hour of any given day, depending on the mood, the mood you're in. But and I think that's okay. I think we are gloriously organic, ever evolving beings. And that doesn't just go for our physical state, it goes for our mental state as well. And I think we need to come to terms with the fact that, just like, our faces change, our skin tone changes, our hair spread changes, the way our brain evolves and the chemistry inside that incredibly complex supercomputer is evolving every split second, every minute of every day. And it goes back to what I said right at the beginning in the theme of this thing, which is, you learn whether it's subconscious. And actually, when you think about learning, what is it really? It is an evolution of the way we see the world and interact with it. And therefore, we need to be comfortable in knowing that every time we're blessed enough to wake up in the morning, we are going to evolve split second by split second. And the person that goes to bed that night will no longer be the same person that woke up that morning.
That is beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. Contact details, Richard. How can people find out more about you and learn more about your amazing insights?
Oh, thank you, Paul. My website's probably the best place to start, Richard Gerver, GERVER.com, or they can find me on social media. I'm very blessed in not having a common name, so I tend to be pretty much the only Richard Gerver out there in the social space. So come find me, interact with me. It'd be lovely to meet you.
Superb. Thank you as ever, Richard. Always a pleasure.
Pleasure, Paul.
So there we have it, listeners. Things I didn't know. You make your own mind up. Maybe it'll prompt you to think about what it is that you didn't know or you thought you didn't know. But one thing I do know, I'm going to sign this off with certainty, the way I always do, by saying, remember, the world's changing. How will you respond?
Thanks very much for listening to this World Game Changers podcast episode. Hopefully you found it interesting and helpful. Drop a line to Paul at worldgamechangers.org with any thoughts or questions you may have, and he'll be more than happy to respond. Remember, the world's changing. How will you respond?